It's the last game of the season for Ulster and a final hurrah for some coaching staff and players. The club's most capped player, Roger Wilson, hangs up his boots and South African Ruan Pienaar prepares to say an emotional farewell. Leinster provide the opposition, and it's an opportunity for Ulster to try and finish their inconsistent season on a positive note. A full house is expected for this inter-pro clash. Good evening, welcome to Ulster Rugby Live on this gloriously sunny evening in Belfast. Stephen Ferris and the former Ireland coach Eddie O'Sullivan are with us. Leinster safely qualified for a home semi-final. Ulster can't make the playoffs. They can, I suppose, restore a bit of pride tonight with a win, but Eddie, that really is only papering over the cracks of what's been a disappointing season.
It has indeed. When you see the depth of the squad that Ulster have, that they're not going to be anywhere near the playoffs, it's very sad. But the big problem all season has been a lack of consistency. A lack of consistency over 80 minutes, a lack of consistency from week to week. It's been their bugbear, and it's really caused their problems this year, and they've only themselves to blame for that. Big night for a player you played with, Stephen, Roger Wilson. What a professional career he has had. 338 appearances between Ulster and Northampton.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, the big man has a lot of mileage under his belt. You know, he's probably played the best rugby of his career at Northampton, but he's back here at Ulster. He's been an Ulster stalwart over the years, and hopefully we give him a good send-off here today.
Getting a send-off as well is Ruan Pienaar after 7 years at Ulster. He doesn't want to leave. Ulster don't want him to leave, but he has to go to Montpellier. He's going to be a massive loss, Eddie.
Well, a huge loss because of the impact he's had with Ulster, both on the field and what people may not realise off the field as well. He's integrated into the community. It's tough on his family and himself as well. They're very happy here having to leave at this stage.
This try earlier in the season, probably the try of the season, typifies the man, doesn't it?
It just sums him up. You know, he was the one covering, he was the one that started it off, the goose step to Peter Nelson, and who's on the end of it, the work rate that he has, it rubs off on others, and he scores the try here in the corner against Glasgow. But I've played many times with Ruan Pienaar. He is an absolute gentleman on and off the pitch, and I think I speak on behalf of everyone. We wish him all the very best.
It's going to be a tough test for this Ulster side tonight, Eddie, because Leinster have a very good team out, and they'll want to turn in a good performance ahead of the playoffs, won't they? Lay down a marker.
Well, absolutely. They've been on a good run of form at the moment, Leinster. They want to keep that pot boiling. There's their last big hit up before the semi-finals, and they've picked a reasonably strong team, so they won't leave anything in the tank here tonight, and that will make it difficult for the Ulster faithful here. It's going to be a tough night for Ulster if they don't play well. They need to bring that consistency tonight. OK,
Eddie, Stephen, thank you very much indeed. Time to join our commentary team, Ryan Constable and Jim Neely.
Well, it is a glorious afternoon here. Now, there's a man who's had a pretty glorious last year or so, tipped to be the starting tight head prop in the forthcoming Lions Tour to New Zealand, Tadhg Furlong. There's been a lot of changes in the Leinster side. Leo Cullen has made no fewer than 11. Some of the big guns are back. Jack McGrath and the aforementioned Tadhg Furlong, plus Devin Toner up front. Half-backs Luke McGrath and Joey Carberry are there. Gary Ringrose perhaps unlucky not to be going on the Lions Tour, and 34 years of age in his second incarnation with Leinster. Isa Nathewa leads the side as he hopes for 11 consecutive Pro 12 wins. Well, they've come here not just to see the latest instalment of the oldest rivalry in Irish interprovincial rugby. That's Ulster against Leinster, which began 141 years ago. But to say farewell to two very significant contributors to Ulster in recent years. And they're just hanging on, they're just keeping us waiting in the best traditions. Leinster simply champing at the bit. Ulster still, interestingly, in the dressing room, but I think the word has got through to them that actually, chaps, there is a game on, and you'll have to come out and face your public, albeit for the very last time in a season which has promised so much and yet has delivered, in all honesty, so very little. Slate will be wiped clean in about a couple of hours time, and they'll start again next season. And here is one of Ulster Rugby's greatest servants. Despite playing 4 years of competitive rugby with the Northampton Saints, he's still Ulster's most capped player, Roger Graham Wilson. And it's a pretty tough evening for this fella, with their son Jean-Luc in his arms. And you can hear the outpouring of emotion for a man who, certainly as far as I'm concerned, has been the best professional overseas signing that Ulster have ever made. So captaining the side yet again, the 8th time this season, Andrew Trimble leads out this Ulster side, hoping just to round off the season with a wee bit of style and a wee bit of a flourish. Up front, well, internationals Rob Herring and Rodney Ayew come into the front row. Robbie Dyack moves from number 8 to number 6 to accommodate Roger Wilson, and the back division is exactly the same. Pienaar and Jackson at half-back, McCluskey and Marshall in the middle of the park, Craig Gilroy again at full-back, and not a bad couple of chaps to have in the wing, Charles Piatow and Andrew Trimble, Ulster's skipper. Officiating in the middle in his 23rd Guinness Pro 12 game is the Community Development Officer from Limerick and Tipperary, Andrew Brace, assisted by international referee John Lacey and by Eddie Hogan O'Connell, and the TMO is another Irishman, Leo Colgan. So it's an all-Irish affair. The first time they met was in 1876, just down the road in the old North of Ireland ground, when Ulster came through with a 0-0. A try by James Herron, converted by one Robert Walkington. So much for the ancient history lesson, and I do promise you I was not there to commentate on that one. But a glorious evening, a little bit of sun in the eyes of Leinster at the moment, and Devon Toner, as ever, just thunders forward. Must have been in the frame at some stage for a Lions tour. Now that is a tackle and a half by Ulster, but Leinster have got it away nice and quickly. And here's the captain. Saw a bit of a gap, and that's a clever little kick from a clever player. Great covering by Reedy. Piatow tries to step inside Nathewa. Pienaar. Jackson off a Leinster foot. And first thoughts from Ryan Constable. Big night for Ruan Payne. Lots of emotion there. You can see on his face what this occasion meant to him, or means to him.
He certainly could. The tears streaming down the face, and huge loyalty. You can't buy a player's loyalty, but you can buy loyal players. And Ruan Pienaar, from the day he landed, bought into the culture that is Ulster, and you hope his teammates will rally around, see him and Roger Wilson off with a loyal performance.
Good take by Alan O'Connor. McCluskey, Jackson, bit of enterprise here from the men in white. Marshall. That's out wide to Sean Reedy, who doesn't seem to be able to make up his mind what position he's going to play in, but he's pretty handy around the park. Bundled into touch, though. Made the most tackles this season after 21 rounds of the Pro 12. 244 made by Reedy. Toner takes. McGrath. Carberry. Rhys Ruddock, part of an all-international breakaway trio. Hayden Triggs just acts as the foil. This is clever stuff. This is Adam Byrne. Tries to step inside Trimble and then just hands him off, but Trimble got him at the second attempt. Typical Leinster. A lot of skill in there. Josh van der Flair, another young man who's really had a great last 12 months or so. Carberry likewise. Had to readjust. McGrath. Gary Ringrose outside him. All the pressure coming from the table toppers, looking for the first league title for some 3 years. It was Connacht last year, Glasgow before that. Leinster feel it's their turn again. Looked like a bit of a high tackle there by Ulster. Referee playing advantage. He's in Nathewa, slings it into touch, but they will come back, and I think Andrew Brace was right on the money there.
Slipped up high. There's zero tolerance for those type of tackles. Any contact above the shoulder duly penalised, and two different preparations required from these two teams at this stage of the season, as we just see this tackle coming in, starts low and then slips up, and just a penalty, nothing more. Leinster will just want to be business as usual as they progress towards that home semi-final. For Ulster, it's about salvaging interprovincial pride. Tour places on that Irish tour party to the USA and Japan at stake for both teams, and an intriguing encounter in near perfect conditions.
A bit careless and clumsy by Alan O'Connor rather than malicious, but either way it is an offence and it is a penalty. And this is Joey Carberry, who kicked a very, very late penalty last weekend in Dublin to secure victory over the Glasgow Warriors. Very much a second string team Leo Cullen put out a week ago. Not so tonight here in Belfast. No mistake by Joey Carberry. So an early Ulster mistake has cost them. We played just 4 minutes, and it's Ulster 0 and Leinster 3.
A perfect start for Leinster with all the emotion around the departing players. The crowd really involved from the start. The best way to silence that is points on the board, and they've done that very early on.
As we mentioned, 10 league games in a row Leinster have won, taking them firmly to the top of the table. That's not a bad restart kick. There's nothing wrong with that. That was a Leinster player actually caused the ball catcher to fall. So that's good refereeing. Nobody panicked out there. Andrew Bray certainly didn't panic.
No, very familiar now with that pod system. They line that 10-metre line in pairs and getting the player up in the air, and no one really interfering, just couldn't bring him to ground safely, and that caused the knock-on.
Gary Ringrose was lifted, but there was nobody underneath him to catch him. Josh van der Fleer fired him up in the air like an exocet, and he came down in a somewhat undignified fashion. First scrum of the evening. Leinster about 5 pounds a man heavier, if my sums are right. 2 enormous prop forwards. Mind you, Rodney Ayew is no lightweight. That's a good solid Ulster scrummage. Good work by Ayew and Andy Warwick. Pinar, Paddy Jackson. Piatow comes in, well tackled, and away goes Craig Gilroy. Nicely done. Jackson down to Trimble. Tries to get away from Van der Fleer, back inside, and picked off very nicely indeed by Leinster, and by Noel Reid, the inside centre. Well, was there ever an Ulster-Leinster game that didn't have a little bit of a dust-up occasionally?
Thank you, lads. Thank you.
Yeah, well, all this talk of this being a dead rubber, it's certainly not. Once they cross that whitewash, both teams up for this game. Some inventive stuff from Ulster early on, encouraging signs that that potential in the back line could be unleashed in these dry conditions.
It's out to 5, okay? Step out to 5.
Well, they've come here in terrific numbers just to watch this game. Nothing in it as far as Ulster's concerned. There's an absolutely minute mathematical chance, but to qualify they need to beat Leinster with a bonus point. They need the Ospreys to lose, and Ulster need to pick up something in the region of about 70 points. So there's probably more chance of me winning Strictly Come Dancing. Here's Rob Herring. Oh, stolen there by the New Zealand Mario All Black Hayden Triggs, but Ulster have made a bit of ground. Sean Reedy is there. My word, he's been busy this evening. Good work by Ayew. Pinar, Alan O'Connor trying to make up for that little penalty. Here comes McCluskey, equally big and strong. Pinar again, taken on by Kieran Treadwell, looking for his first Ulster try. There's a Leinster player all over that. Pinar looks to the right, then the left. Here's Robbie Dyack. Oh, he's done well to get the body run. Herring's in there quickly. Pinar, Jackson, Piatow. Great Leinster defence and Ulster pressing. Ayew waits to take it on, and he's spilled it.
No advantage. Stay.
But the referee says he's coming back for the penalty. I thought there was a Leinsterman offside.
The interesting option now for Ulster. 3 points, look pretty easy. It's a cross close to the touchline. They could get this one in touch 5 metres out and try and get that driving maul going. You feel they'll need to score some tries today to beat this Leinster team. In these conditions, you're not expecting it to be a 3-point game.
Andrew Trimble comes in off the right wing and wears his captain's hat and says exactly what he wants Ulster to do. And they're going for a scrum. Well, that's very interesting indeed. They did have the options of the kick at goal, into touch for the line out. Maybe they feel after that first scrum they're in control.
Yeah, in that first line out, Leinster got someone up and interfered with it. Scrum, maybe a better option. McCluskey lurking ominously in that 12 channel, real physical presence. Noel Reid will be in for some tackling today, and wider threats out wide in the form of Gilroy and Piatow, trying to stretch that line out as much as possible.
Well, Kingspan Stadium is resplendent here. Down go the front rows just for a change. The first one was perfect, and Andrew Brace will be saying to them, if you can't
it's too much pressure
get the rest of them, then you should be going home.
Yeah, hit higher, okay? Let's go.
Just got a little bit on the cloudy side. 8 minutes gone, 3-0 to Leinster. Hugely disappointed at their exit at the hands of Clermont in the European Champions Cup a couple of weeks ago.
Bind. Set. Stable. Yes, go now.
Ulster, remember, haven't won any competition since 2006. That is a good Ulster scrum. Pienaar, now that's McCluskey. Here comes Roger Wilson. He's not going to get a try in his last game. Oh my Lord, he is. Would you believe it? Roger Wilson, cap number 221 for Ulster, and his 13th league try, and he hasn't scored one of those, well, since he was in little socks. What a finish by Roger Wilson.
They're all going to script for Ulster there. Ruan Pienaar's service from the base. McCluskey gets over that advantage line crucially, draws in two defenders. It's the speed of the recycled ball. Roger Wilson on the spot and needs no further invitation from that range to pick and go. McCluskey battling hard to get over that advantage line, and it's speed of recycled ball that allow those opportunities to be created, and Ulster making the most of the first one.
Well, once Roger Wilson scooped up that ball and those big paws of his, he was never, ever going to be stopped. Didn't actually need the help of Luke Marshall and a couple of others. Made it all on his own. Paddy Jackson does the honours as the conversion. So nearly 10 minutes gone, and the pendulum has swung back in Ulster's direction, leading Leinster by 7 points to 3.
Their challenge for Ulster, which they've failed on in this season, is now to receive this ball from the kickoff, secure it, go through their next phase of what they're trying to achieve in their game plan, and play on from there.
Carberry puts it long. Pienaar. Well, that's a lovely kick from Ruan Pienaar. Takes Ulster out of the danger zone. There, just in the centre, is Joe Smith, the Irish coach, who, if I'm not mistaken, is going to name his touring party for games against the USA and Japan on the 15th of this month. So it's not too far away, and one or two people will have the rule read over them tonight. That's a good take by Leinster. Ulster managed to bring it down. They've stolen that. Robbie Dyack comes away with it. That's good driving work by the two-times capped Irish international. Now Jackson, Luke Marshall. Not sure the kick was the right option. I heard groans of no from not too far away from me. And away goes Nafewa, and he's got away from too many Ulster tackles there in the middle of the park. A couple of front row forwards missed him. Chance now for Leinster. Carberry had to check and forced a kick. So it hasn't worked out too badly for Ulster. Jackson needs to find his touch, and he does.
If the quality of back three players both these teams possess, your kicking game out of hand is going to be spot on this afternoon. Dry conditions, both teams will want to play attacking rugby and need to make those contestable kicks or find some grass if you're going for distance.
A wee bit of obstruction there. Rodney Ayew couldn't get to Nafewa. Leinster won this from Josh van der Fleer. It looked forward. Certainly the crowd thought that. Luke McGrath, Carberry back inside. Good work by Jack Conan. Van der Fleer again. Carberry. James Tracy, the promising Leinster hooker, took it forward there. Luke McGrath. It's all slowed a bit. Hayden Triggs, who, if I'm not mistaken, played against Roger Wilson 10 years ago in the Churchill Cup when he was involved with the New Zealand Maoris. That's gone forward. The pass was forward, and then the ball was knocked on. That is not what you expect of Leinster midfield play, I have to say.
No, forced into that by the line speed from Ulster, encouraging signs early on defensively, really getting off that line and applying a huge amount of pressure to that Leinster attack, and a little bit of miscommunication. Didn't look as though Conan was expecting to receive that ball, and that in-your-face Ulster defence certainly operating very well in the first 12 minutes.
He's been a terrific replacement, particularly this season, for Jamie Heaslip when the two-times Lion has been either on Irish duty or has been injured. And Conan, a man whom I know Ulster courted for quite some time, but to no avail. He's opted to stay with his native province.
Set. Stay.
13 minutes gone. 7-3 to Ulster here at the Kingspan. And another good Ulster scrum. That's great work by Warwick and by Ayew against two Lions props and a pack that's a lot heavier. Wilson, now to Pienaar. Piatow got it at the second attempt, and that has maybe helped them. Carberry had to make the tackle. Pienaar, Jackson, Rodney Ayew ran a good angle. Support from Warwick and from Herring. Jackson again, McCluskey. Well brought to the ground on the far side by Ringrose. Here comes Rob Herring. Might still be in the mix for that Japan and USA trip. Likewise, Rodney Ayew. Pienaar switches. Craig Gilroy runs into a lot of blue shirts. Pienaar gets it away. Jackson with the clever dummy. Knocked backward by Leinster. And Nathewa clears the line. Well, all the pressure coming from the men in white.
Yeah, what they're doing very well is getting that speed of recycle ball. That's allowing players to come onto the ball at pace, and that's really testing that Leinster defence, finding a few half breaks, but some desperate Leinster defence just hanging on to deny them.
Bit of a stoppage. Rodney Ayew, as you can see, is down one knee, holding his right shoulder. Must not over blessed with tight head props, because Vian Herbst, who probably would have started, is injured, and Ricky Lutton's been drafted onto the bench.
Ricky Lutton moving on at the end of this season as well, and he's always done well when he's been called upon, particularly good at that aspect of scrummaging, and Ulster have started very well in that department, and they wouldn't want that sort of service to be disrupted on a day like today.
Might just be what they call a stinger. Isn't it wonderful to see hats and sunglasses or shades in the modern parlance here? A lot of people with the ruined Pienaar pictures. What a marker he'll leave behind here. But I don't think we've seen the last of Ruan Pienaar. I think he'll be back in a couple of years to live, because he and Monique and the children, Jean-Luc and Lamay, just simply love it here in Belfast. He's bought into the whole culture. He's enjoying the education system, his church, which is such a part of his life. Rob Herring. Well, that's another steal. It's not going well at the line out for us. You can see why they're opting for the scrums. That's been knocked forward. The referee's playing advantage, and Sean Reedy snaffled it and has made good ground yet again. Andrew Warwick had a surging run against the Ospreys last week, nearly brought a try. Here is the try scorer, Roger Wilson. Well laid back. Pienaar, Jackson misses out. Marshall, Gilroy. Good tackle by Gary Ringrose. Reedy again. Jackson, very dangerous, but it's worked. Robbie Dyack. Luke McGrath tries to strip the back row forward, and Ulster concede the penalty, and Leinster will be pleased with their defending there, Ryan.
Yeah, good containment defence. They come out very quickly in that wider channel. Ulster did have men out wide, but weren't able to get the ball there because of that line speed in the wider channel, recognising correctly that they needed to employ that tactic to cut the ball off, and getting due reward for putting enough players into that ruck to contest.
How big an influence do you feel that the former England coach Stuart Lancaster has had this season with Leinster?
Yeah, massive. Speaking to the players, you know, he's a international quality coach. He's brought a real intensity to training, very organised and structured, and he's complemented that staff of Leo Cullen and Gervin Dempsey, who are ready in situ there, and really brought this team forward again. Lots of talent at their disposal, but it has to be moulded into that team performance.
Tracy with the throw. That's not a good one. No advantage, it seems, to Ulster, though Roger Wilson was legging it for the ball. And the referee has given the scrummage.
Not great completion rates on attacking throw for either team in such good conditions. You can be sure the coaches in the coaching box will be looking for those reasons why, and trying to get them down onto the pitch to ensure that stream of possession comes from the line out.
Rodney Ayew seems to be fine up against Jack McGrath. And remember, Leinster have the redoubtable Cian Healy on the bench. Pienaar to Andrew Trimble. McCluskey. Pienaar again. That was dreadful in the middle of the park. Referee waiting for advantage. Knocked on by Marshall. Good tackle by Pienaar on Joss van der Fleer. Nobody at scrum half for Ulster. Hayden Triggs. Nathewa. That's going to bounce very nicely for Leinster. It's going to be an Ulster line-out, but that has not been an item of strength for Ulster this evening.
Yeah, just the wrong option there, and Nathiwa no better man to capitalise all that experience and game awareness. He looks up, he sees where the space is, and then he's got the ability to execute the perfect kick, and they just keep mounting that pressure through territory, through possession, and they'll look to apply some further pressure to this Ulster line-out.
Leinster have a man down injured, and their scrum half, Luke McGrath, is getting a bandage applied to his head. The referee has now called for time off. Well, it seems to be okay. It's Noel Reid, the centre. Knocked back by Ulster. They've got that one at the second attempt, although they're under fierce pressure. Pienaar to Alan O'Connor. Just come infield to set it up a little bit better for the man who's going to clear from here, and it is Pienaar. And he's given that a huge amount of high Trimble jumps. That's well covered by Luke McGrath. Andrew Trimble taken right out of it, quite legally. Joey Carberry. Reid seems to be fine again. That looked fairly flat, and here comes the very exciting Adam Byrne, the 23 years of age. Got 10 tries in the league in his career. Tag furlong well met by some stout Ulster defending, mainly through Roger Wilson. Here's Carberry. Nathiwa trying to create a bit of space. Rhys Ruddock. Good covering by Kieran Treadwell. Another man who might be in Joe Smith's tour sites. Jack McGrath, Lions bound. Of Herring not offside. Carberry looking for a wee gap. Doesn't find one because Sean Reedy was there. McGrath, Nathiwa. Jack Conan, who's been a rich vein of form this season. Treadwell's getting out of the way, as per instruction from the referee, James Tracy, the hooker. Slip forward, here comes Jack McGrath. Leinster just finding a little hole in the middle of the park. And this is better stuff from the men in blue. Carberry, that was a bit high by McCluskey. Again, Carberry ducked into it, but the referee's, I think, playing advantage. But if it all stops, it will be a penalty. Noel Reid tackled by Luke Marshall. And that's the second accidental, but nonetheless penalisable. High tackle by Ulster.
Yeah, it just looked like a big man tackling a smaller man there on that occasion. I'd like to see the replay to see the reason for the penalty. It was a big body collision, and Leinster just trying to get that recycling game going and taking it into contact. And yeah, it's technically high, as again, no real malice involved, but penalty and another opportunity from virtually the same spot for Carberry to add another 3.
It was almost a combination of a slightly high tackle and a neck roll. But either way, the penalty was justified. And this will give Leinster the chance to close the gap. As we're now in the second quarter of this game, it's really flown in to a single point. Carberry with the opening points after some 4 minutes. Well, would you believe that? Off the post. Jackson gets it away. Trimble does the right thing and gives it an almighty wallop, but that's well read by Ethan Nathiwa, Leinster's skipper, who runs a good angle. Gets it away to Noel Reid, who's not slow. Back inside the Van der Fleer. It mightn't work out too badly for Leinster. Nathiwa kept running, and he's taken on Pienaar. Now it's McGrath. Hayden Triggs, 35 years of age, is still playing pretty well. Joey Carberry. Here comes Ringrose. They need to watch him. Oh, he's got away from Piatow. Couldn't quite link up with another pacey man, Adam Byrne, on the far side. Desperate times now for Ulster. Thought they'd won that one back, but they haven't. Rhys Ruddock makes some ground for Leinster. In there too is Toner. Byrne is scrum half. James Tracy steps outside Ayew. McGrath. Carberry with the dummy. Great tackle by Luke Marshall. Luke McGrath. Rhys Ruddock. Good defending by Ulster yet again. Hayden Triggs. Roger Wilson nails him. And Wilson penalised for not rolling away, having made the tackle. Referee's going to have a word with Andrew Trimble about the number of penalties, I think. Let's hear what he's saying.
Didn't get a chance to speak to you over earlier. Okay, that's 2 high tackles, offside and not rolling. Okay, any more here is going to go to the bin.
Well, it's two high tackles, an offside and not rolling away. So that's 4 penalties. And next time somebody's going to go to the bin, and surely Joey Carberry, Ryan, will get this one.
Yeah, you would think so. And again, it's Leinster just making good decisions on the ball, and that's been a hallmark of their season. Understanding what's in front of them, knowing when to offload, when to go to ground, and across the board they've just got players that are making those good decisions, and the rest of the team are reacting accordingly.
No mistake this time from Joey Carberry, so the gap has been reduced to 1 single point. We've played nearly 23 minutes, and it's 7-6 to Ulster.
In a pretty even contest thus far. Ulster looking good when they got inside that Leinster 22, and that's the challenge for them, is to get into those positions more often, because Leinster are a team with the abilities that they've got to strangle teams by playing down in their half.
Fergus McFadden, first time we've mentioned him. Tackled by an old rival for the Irish wing 3/4 berth, Ulster skipper Andrew Trimble.
Use it!
McFadden with 32 Irish caps. Will he get any more? Here's Luke McGrath, who's just got a couple. That went forward from Pietart. Referee's happy enough to play on Hayden Triggs. Good pass by the big fella. Noel Reid couldn't quite get it away cleanly. Carberry.
Take him back.
Gilroy's, in fact, it's Paddy Jackson who's touched that. Needs to make sure he gets his touch, and he has done just that. That was taken back inside. He knocked it back inside himself, so he actually couldn't kick directly into touch. He probably knows that now. And the line out, instead of being on the halfway, is now inside Ulster's 22.
Yeah, a little bit of a breeze picking up behind Leinster, it looks like, in this first half. Not going to have a major impact on the game, but just getting a little bit of distance. And as we see the replay, correct call by the assistant referee. And once again, it's Leinster that find themselves inside the Ulster 22.
Eddie Hogan O'Connell on the far side officiating Leinster's line out. Not a problem. In goes Kieran Treadwell, youngest member of the Ulster attack, and indeed the Ulster side today. Luke McGrath, this is better stuff. Rhys Ruddock is a really serious piece of work when he gets the head of steam up. McGrath again. Carberry to Noel Reid. Tried to step inside. McGrath looking for men on the open side. Gets one on James Tracy.
Hold.
Also not committing too many to the breakdown, which is maybe the sensible option. Tackled once again by Alan O'Connor. Now it's Carberry. Leinster probing. Ringrose very nearly got away from the tackler. McGrath again will go to that narrow side. Tadhg Furlong. Now tries to strip the ball away from James Tracy. Luke McGrath sets it up for Leinster. Ferocious pressure. Robbie Dyack is there, and Robbie Dyack wins the penalty for Ulster. Great work by Dyack. Took all his weight on his legs, had his hands in there, and Leinster not releasing. Best bit of Ulster defending this evening.
Yeah, outstanding stuff, and realising the opportunity, when to commit, when to contest for that ball, and getting in, as you say, a great body position over that ball. Has the rights to the ball, and a pressure relieving kick for Ulster.
Paddy Jackson obliges. There was that take forward there by Jack Conan, and although Tadhg Furlong tried to ease Robbie Dyack unceremoniously off the ball, the Ulster flanker held firm. Balanced on a knife edge. Well, I don't know what's going on at the line out for Ulster. It was bad enough in the Ospreys last week, but it's even worse tonight. You wonder who's calling the lineouts, Ryan.
They're really struggling in that department to get that source, and that's allowing Leinster to set up camp in Ulster territory. Their defence has kept them in it. Leinster haven't been able to breach that line and get over the whitewash, but Ulster need to keep their discipline, particularly in their own 22. They've been cautioned now about the number of penalties, and they wouldn't want anyone to be in the bin.
13.5 minutes to go to the interval.
Stable.
Ewan Pienaar playing his 100th Pro 12 league game for his adopted province. Better Leinster scrum, but also get it away. Jackson, now it's McCluskey. Piatow took it nicely. Now to Trimble. Good spiral by Trimble. Ethan Lasewa claiming there was a bit of blocking there. Pienaar, Jackson. Well taken, I think, by Alan O'Connor, who's managed to knock it forward, and that's really sums up Ulster's evening. Some things good, some things bad.
Yeah, they get that pattern, but the ball just not taking the right option as to who that player is going to be. They use it well on this occasion to get some space on the wider channels, and Piatow and Trimble making some space on that wider channel. But as they come back, they run a same play with second-man plays, but just can't identify who the ball carrier is. And once that hits the ground, the mistake comes, and Leinster get the opportunity. A little bit of a blindside here. Luke McGrath may have a little look at that. Paddy Jackson standing behind the scrum to counter that if he goes that way.
There's just one man out of the far side for Leinster, and that's that right wing Adam Byrne. Everybody else, including Ethan Lasewa, the skipper, on this the near side at a fairly sharp angle, assuming they're going to get the ball, and it's going to be go forward ball. The last scrum, there were signs that the Leinster's superior weight and greater experience, particularly in the tight five, was just starting to show.
Let's go.
Jack McGrath tied for Devon Toner, just about ever present apart from the England game in All Ireland's recent Six Nations. Toner for that game replaced by Ian Henderson, who's here tonight, along with Lion-elect Rory Best as well, and Jared Payne, I think, too.
Stay.
Luke McGrath, good strike by Tracy. Ulster trying to get a bit of a squeeze on, but Leinster digging in. McGrath, orthodox, Carberry, Ringrose, that looked forward. The crowd certainly thought so. Fergus McFadden sensibly cut back inside. Carberry, Jack Conan well taken by Robbie Dyack and Sean Reedy. McGrath is dangerous. Good tackle by Herring. Here goes Carberry, even more dangerous perhaps. Still there. Fergus McFadden, who's very strong, comes back inside.
Ball is there, don't look for it.
Conan's going to have to go to scrum half. Leaves it for McGrath. Hayden Triggs. Good tackle by IU. Devon Toner. Ringrose. Thought about cutting back inside, but no room for him. Rhys Ruddock up to the 22. Look, McGrath read that really well and put in a thumping tackle, but Leinster have squeezed it back again. Triggs, McFadden. Off he goes. Stopped by Robbie Dyack. Just 10 minutes remaining. Ulster desperate to hang on to this slender lead. Good work by Rob Herring again as Carberry ran up a bit of a cul-de-sac. Look, McGrath. And that's bounced very handily for Leinster. It's an Ulster line-out, but I don't think they've won cleanly all evening round, so this could be a cause for concern.
Yeah, outstanding defence first, though, from Ulster. And the physical contest, they're certainly up for it. Their line speed's great. They're making good decisions there at the breakdown and really forcing those Leinster players backwards. They seem to be attacking with superior defensive numbers and really struggling to find a way through. And this will be a big test for them, just spending too much time in their own 22 for their liking.
Do you understand?
Well, Ricky Lutton has come on. Was not an original selection for the spot on the bench. That was going to Vian Herbst. So Lutton comes on at the age of 31 for his 58th Ulster cap. Man who won no fewer than 3 Oxford University Blues. And Rodney Ayew cuts a disconsolate figure, and off he goes. Scrummaged quite well earlier on, but I'm not sure whether it's an injury or whether it's the head. And Nigel Brady, former Ulster hooker, is there as well. Jacob Stockdale standing, no sign of him coming on. And maybe there is, because somebody's down. And up gets Stuart McCluskey. Looks a wee bit on the wobbly side, but if there's any head problem around, they would take him off immediately. So Ulster's line-out, the most crucial set piece of this first half. 30 minutes elapsed, 7-6 to the home side. Well, that was better. Roger Wilson. will go to ground and lay the ball back. Robbie Dyack, who won a crucial penalty a few minutes ago.
Wait.
Referee telling Leinster to wait. It's back to Piatow. And onto that favoured left foot of his, and he hasn't found his touch. Nathewa receives from Adam Byrne. There's only one way he's going to go. Good tackle by Sean Reedy. Away by Leinster. Toner wide to Gary Ringrose. Wrapped up by Marshall of the Luke variety. Paul on the bench yet again. Triggs. There's all good stuff from Leinster. Ricky Lutton's straight into action. Ulster have stolen that one. Didn't quite go to plan. Jackson. Piatow. A bit of a charge down, and the referee's going to bring them back for the initial knock forward, and it's going to be an Ulster scrum.
Yeah, good impact from Ricky Lutton. He's the man that executed that steal, but you wonder how long Ulster can keep up this defensive effort. Leinster really have set up camp just on that Ulster 22 and just relentlessly coming forward with the amount of ball carriers they've got. Ulster up to the task thus far, but they'll surely want to get some territory and possession to try and improve on that 7 points they scored.
Scrum white.
Charles Piatow, incidentally, after 21 games this season, has made the most offloads in the league. He's beaten most defenders, and he's made the most breaks. So he's won. He's leading 3 of the top tables for those of you who are statistically minded.
Crouch. Bind.
Strange to stand up for the Ulster men. Moving around, Ricky Lutton on the Ulster tight head side now, leaving the firm at the end of the season. Free kick against Leinster for an early shove, and Ulster take it straight away. Now it's Piatow. And that's maybe not the worst option in the world. And the Nathewa just outside his 22. Into a wee bit of space, Piatow waits. A tale of 2 fullbacks. Piatow. Well, Nathewa slowed him down long enough for Ringrose to make the tackle. Pienaar, Roger Wilson. Ulster still inside their own half. 7 minutes of this first half remaining. Switched to the near side. Luke Marshall couldn't quite get away. Tackle was by Luke McGrath.
Didn't survive it.
Wilson again. Jackson. Put plenty of height on that one. Oh, well taken by Trimble. And then he popped it up into the grateful arms of James Tracy. Just a wee bit more composure. Carberry, Triggs, there are men outside. Good work by Alan O'Connor. And also get the penalty. Good tackling by O'Connor on his opposite number, Jason Triggs.
Yeah, Ricky Lutton again, the man getting over that. Ruan Pienaar electing to go quickly with the kick to touch, and what a kick it is. Really set up position. Important now that Ulster secure possession from this line out. They shortened it on their own 5-metre line. Will they look to employ the same tactic to guarantee possession here?
Well, a score before half-time would certainly help Ulster's cause. Leinster, remember, guaranteed a home semi-final. It'll be either the up on the screen, the Scarlets are leading the Ospreys by 14 points to 10. Munster well in command at home to Connacht, the defending champions, who had their day or season in the sun this time last year. Ulster throw it long, well taken to the back by O'Connor. Jack McGrath surely had got himself offside. Here goes Andrew Warwick. Nice bit of sleight of hand and knocked forward by Rob Herring. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Simple things. That was the best line out of the evening too, Ryan.
Here was outstanding. Referee just explaining why what looked like an offside play by McGrath was allowed to go on as the ball went over the 15-metre line, but just that offload not going to hand for Ulster.
Well, there's a very good chance there for points for the home side. 5 minutes remaining of this half.
The ball is transferred. That's why the line-out's over. He's entitled to do that.
Trimble, I think, is having been spoken to by the ref about people being a wee bit on the lippy side, perhaps. Well, the sun is out. It is the most perfect, well, summer's day. 7 o'clock in the evening and the sun is out. The Leinster scrum has not been unduly bothered on their put. ins, or the puts in,
there
whichever
now,
the plural is so far. McGrath, good squeeze by Ulster. Conan picks up and gets away. Plenty of options now in the middle of the park. Devon Toner. Manhandled by Roger Wilson. Who else? In goes O'Connor. Carberry and Lefewa will put to ball. And the line is cleared, but not by very much, and a chance for Ulster to rebuild.
Yeah, important for Ulster to get some points. They've had rare excursions into the Leinster 22 and just need to cut down on that error rate that we've seen in this first half, mainly handling errors. Just go through some time in possession, try and apply some pressure to Leinster, put them under some defensive pressure and see whether they can get any mistakes out of that.
Andrew Warwick comes over to his hooker, Rob Herring, to pass on where the ball should be going. That's better. Robbie Dyack, Reedy, taken on by McCluskey. He thunders over the 22 and down and up again. Nice bit of athleticism by the big centre. Now Pienaar flat to Luke Marshall. Good Leinster defending just to the far side of the posts. Ball a little bit slower. Well, knocked on yet again by Andrew Warwick. Now the referee plays, there's no advantage to Leinster. And also coming so close. It's almost a microcosm of the season, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's that passing distribution and basic handling that's letting Leinster off the hook. Just when Ulster establish some field position or a period of possession, they find a way of coughing the ball up and handing it back to Leinster. And they're still ahead on the scoreboard, 7-6, but Leinster seemed to have enjoyed more of the possession, and that'll be taking its toll defensively, that work rate Ulster have had to go through.
2.5 minutes to the interval.
Set. Steady.
A game of high intensity. Better scrum by Leinster. Carberry. Noel Reid, the inside centre, made a bit of ground. Ulster trying to rip it away, but hasn't worked.
Thanks.
And Carberry finds his touch, and perhaps, yeah, there's plenty of time for Ulster to launch another attack from this line-out, which has improved a wee bit. And by saying that, I hope it haven't put the commentator's curse on it. Robbie Dyack, always an excellent man to have at the line-out.
Just having a little confab now to discuss what option they're going for, shortening the line out again. Sean Reedy and Roger Wilson taking up position in the midfield, and 5-man line out for Ulster.
Well done by O'Connor. Pienaar gets it flat to Jackson. McCluskey and Roger Wilson storming up on his outside, but he kept possession. Pienaar. O'Connor again, tackled by Tyg Furlong. Again it's Pienaar, and again it's Robbie Dyack. Switch to Jackson, back inside to McCluskey. Offload to Warwick. Jackson, there's not a lot of room out there for him. Tackled by Conan, but Jackson did ever so well to get it back. Robbie Dyack again takes it on into the final minute. Anything would do. Ulster now. Andrew Trimble, the skipper, emerges from the right wing. Pienaar again. Lutton, Jackson. Huge pressure from Ringrose, and Luke Marshall did well to keep the ball. Referee's got the hand out. That's going to be a penalty to Ulster, and it looks well within the kicking range of Paddy Jackson. And Ulster might just get their noses even more in front come half-time.
Yeah, they'd be delighted if they can knock this 3 points over and go in with a 10-6 lead. Haven't had it all their way, but they'll be going into that shed at half-time with a slender lead. Really done well to solve that problem of the line out on the pitch, whether it was something that came down from the coach's box or on-field problem solving. They've shortened the line out and they've found a way to get that meaningful possession.
I'd say so now,
Paddy
yeah.
Jackson with well over 600 league points to his credit. Good work at the breakdown that time by Ulster. And Ruan Pienaar putting himself about this evening. All those signs of the hip spasm or the back spasm that he had last week, which caused him to leave the field against the Ospreys, seems to have gone. Yeah. I think he if he had to come on the field in crutches, he would have taken the field this evening. Here's his half-back partner, Paddy Jackson. Amazingly playing his 123rd Ulster game. giving that a fair old wallop, and the flags go up, and referee Andrew Brace blows the whistle for half-time, and Ulster have come back. They were thwarted on a couple of occasions when the Leinster line looked to be fairly exposed, but they've dug in and they come back, and they won't be too displeased with that first 40 minutes, and people will be saying, why couldn't they have been playing like this all the way through the season up until now? However, they'll be happy enough because Ulster are leading by 10 points to 6.
Well, it's been a lively, entertaining Interpro. Joey Carberry keeping the scoreboard ticking over for Leinster. Roger Wilson on target for Ulster, and they have defended well and deservedly are in front at half-time. Stephen Ferris and Eddie O'Sullivan have been enjoying what's been a great first 40 minutes. I suppose, as Jim Neely said, why haven't Ulster played like this for large parts of the season?
I think that was always the danger, that they keep the best wine for last. But
pressure's off, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the pressure's off for sure. I think you have to give them credit. Ever since they scored, they've been under the pump a good bit from Leinster, but they shut Leinster down, which takes a lot of doing. We've seen this Leinster team tear teams apart, but at the moment Ulster's defence has been excellent. They've had sorties where they look dangerous, but they're probably, to win this game, they're going to need more possession in their hands in the second half. And but you can only give credit where credit is due. The defence has been outstanding.
What a game Roger Wilson has had so far on his final Ulster appearance. He's been outstanding, hasn't he?
He's been unbelievable. I think it all started from the missed line out, and he got the 50-50 ball, a bounce, and he got onto it straight away. And from that there then came the try, and he's just been everywhere around the park. He's a giant of a man. Obviously played with him many times, and this is it, just a 50-50 bang. He's first man there, and you know, he just doesn't get the ball and fall to the ground. He pumps and pumps the legs, and he's been absolutely fantastic tonight, Eddie.
Yeah, I think his work rate has been huge. I suppose it's such a big day for him. He wants to put everything into the last minute he has. So he's really brought it again. I mean, again here, this is just a power play from Ulster. First hit up, and he's straight to the ball. First man over, picks and goes through and puts it on the whitewash. That's the kind of I suppose that's the kind of power play that Ulster needs to bring to break this Leinster team down, and they're right up there at the moment if they can get more possession.
That's what you have Stuart McCluskey in your team to do. Give you go forward ball. You know, Luke Marshall comes in with a great clear out, and there's Roger, picks the ball up, the gap straight through the middle of the ruck, not round the side, straight through the middle, and he gets the one hand over, touches it down. Fantastic try.
And it's that ball carrying ability that at times Ulster have been missing at times this season, isn't it?
Yeah, it is for sure. He's we all know how good a ball carrier he is, and has been in the past. He struggled with a bit of a back injury over the last couple of seasons, and we haven't really seen as much of him as we would like, but at the same time, what a great performance in your last ever professional game. Fantastic performance so far.
But the key to that Ulster success in the first half, Eddie, as you've alluded to, is the defence. It's been resolute in that first half, really good, hasn't it?
Well, they really have kept the balance on the defence, and because they're balanced and they've got good numbers, they can get off the line. And when they get off the line, they're able to knock Leinster players back, and Leinster are losing their shape. Carberry has had to cut back a number of times into traffic, put himself into trouble a few times, shipped some big hits, and this is basically because they're winning the first collision. And Carberry looks a bit rattled, actually. You know, he came off the post there. That's a banker, and you just got to think at the moment, Ulster have the momentum. It's just that they need to have more time with the ball in their hands and spend less time defending. But you can only say the defence, to me, the work rate and the balance has been extraordinary.
When they do get the ball and they turn it over, they don't need to kick it away aimlessly. You know, they got to kick the ball off the pitch. He kicked in the Seaway, he's going to attack, and you've seen that for a counter attack. I think it was Stuart McCluskey came running out from the outside there, and there was an advantage given there by the referee. The thing I like about the defence, they're closing the space down from the outside in, and when you've got the ball and you see somebody coming from your outside, your automatic reaction is to step back inside and not throw that pass. So they're all working very well, but they're working together, and that's what we haven't seen all season.
Yeah, so what's the difference today then, Stephen? Why so good today?
I think there's a little bit more work rate. They're getting back up off the ground when they do make a tackle, getting in the defensive line, and the communication that he seems really good from the outside in.
It's a bit of a chicken and an egg. If you can get a good line speed, stop the football, slow the ruck, the next one is easier. It gets easier and easier. But if you get a situation where you're chasing tackles and chasing back to rucks, it's very hard to stop the momentum. But today they've got that balance right. this Leinster team are a very good attacking team. They've been very ordinary there today. They've had really no inroads, and they will be thankful for the 6 points they've got. So I think at the moment it's advantage Ulster, but I still think this is going to be hard to sustain for the next 40 minutes, so they're going to need to get their hands on the ball.
Ruan Pienaar was a fairly emotional character when he came out at the start of the match. You can see what this means to him today, Stephen.
Yeah, I was in his shoes only a few years ago. Yeah, he's made a couple of mistakes here today, but again, look at this here for tackling Josh van der Fleer. He's not an easy man to put down. He just does the simple things well. I think later on in the first half, he got a quick penalty straight into touch over the winger's head, and he just thinks that little couple of seconds faster than everybody else. I'm sure it's been a really emotional week, not just an emotional day, a really emotional week, and it's been just really chomping at the bit to get out there and get the game started, because I'm sure it's been a very emotional week.
Yeah, turnovers for Ulster been pretty successful at times, Eddie.
Yeah, it has. I mean, again, the work at the breakdown, they've got in over the ball, they've caused turnovers, and that's got to do, again, as Stephen said, with work rate. Guys getting on their feet, good line, and then able to commit to the ruck. Once it's there, you can't commit if you're going backwards. It's much easier to get your hands in on top of that when you're going forward. You see there that Leinster are really looking and searching for gaps that aren't really there, and eventually Ulster get numbers to the ball and get over it, and that's the kind of work rate that gets you those big turnovers. And they're psychologically huge as well, because Leinster begin to wonder, now, how can we break this Ulster team down? There's no easy line breaks today.
I think what Leinster are going to be sitting at half-time saying, right, let's get this tighter, let's get a few mauls going. Yes, it's a beautiful day here in Belfast, it's sunny, it's a nice hard pitch, you want to run the ball, but sometimes you got to play to your advantages. You know, Leinster have got a big pack here. Ulster have had to make a change. Ricky Lutton straight on. He hasn't played a lot of game time this season. For me, they're looking to tighten it up and try and really get into the Ulster rugby lads' heads, you know, early on this second half.
But I still think the problem Leinster have is that that's not their style of game. It means shifting away from where they're strong. They would have practiced all week, playing into their shape, you know, passing out the tackle, you know, playing touchline to touchline. But at the moment, there's a white wall in front of them, so that's a big adjustment to make for Leinster as a team.
Okay, Eddie, Stephen, thank you very much indeed for the moment. Let's hear from the Ireland captain, who's pitch side, talking to Gavin Andrews.
Yes, the Ireland captain and British and Irish Lion. To the Lions in a moment, but Rory, first of all, it has the feeling of a end of an era almost about it today, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Look, it's quite sad, and I think probably last night you're looking on social media and you're seeing all the bits and pieces about the two boys especially. You know, and obviously Ricky coming on. It was nice to see Ricky getting a good run, but certainly with Roger and Ruan, I suppose it made me feel a little bit sad as well, because, you know, guys at and around your age, every year they keep dropping off the cliff, and it's I suppose the inevitable's near. But yeah, look, I think for them, I'm just delighted the way they played in that first half. I think both of them have been fantastic.
And Ruan, it's a difficult one for him, because we all know he didn't want to go. He'll be very emotional today.
Yeah, he will be, and you know, he's having to uproot a family and take them over to France and everything that goes with that. But look, ultimately, I think we just celebrate the fact that we've had Ruan for so long. We've been able to re-sign him, and look, the RFU policy is ultimately to protect the young players coming through, and it's disappointing for us, because it's not often you get a world-class player that wants to re-sign here regardless of whether you're the highest bidder or not, and we had that, and that brought a lot more emotion into it than normal business decision.
Okay, speaking of emotion, how are your emotions after the Lions announcement? Now you've had a few weeks maybe to digest the news.
Look, obviously delighted, and I think after 4 years ago it was utter heartbreak, and to have the complete opposite this time. And we actually watched it on the phone, trying to stream it, so we were a little bit behind. And when they were halfway through the backs, a text message came through from my dad, then a missed call from my mum, and it seemed like nothing else for an eternity. So I thought, oh my goodness, it's not good news. So and a massive roller coaster, but I think to see the announcement with my family was, and look, they go through a lot so that I can succeed as best I can, and for them to be a part of it was brilliant.
And for Ulster Rugby to have 3 guys there, it's pretty special.
It is, yeah. Look, we know how great the other 2 boys are, and it's great that now they've been recognised on what is a global stage, because they are fantastic guys, and especially for Hendy, with the way he's worked over the last sort of probably 18 months. You know, with JP is just an unbelievable player, but Hendy has worked really hard.
Trip of a lifetime, make the most of it.
Absolutely. Cheers, thank you.
As 2 people who've been involved with the Lions, Stephen and Eddie, it's going to be a fabulous summer for all those Irish players who have been selected.
It will be. I was there, and very thankful to be there in 2009. It is the pinnacle of your career. You're in with the best from the different countries, and I just thrived in that environment, and I hope Hendy, Ian Henderson and Jared Payne and Rory Best do exactly the same. Ian Henderson is a young fella. He will learn so much out there, and for me, he's got a good chance of really working hard in those games leading up to the test to try and give himself a chance of getting a test game.
Do you think Henderson's got a chance of making the test team?
I think he has, and certainly his flexibility around playing across the back five is hugely important, and his agility as well to beat players with quick footwork. If he gets into that zone, as we know he can with the ball in hands, he can make a huge impression. And I think, and he's one of these guys that most people outside of Ireland might think he's able to shout, but he's one of those bolters that can surprise everybody for sure. There's no doubt about that.
The Lions, of course, rested tonight, not wanting to risk an injury before their big summer. Can Ulster close this game out tonight against Leinster, or will Leinster be very hungry to try and get a win here to set them up for the Pro 12 semis?
I definitely have to agree with Eddie. I think they need to get possession. They need to have the ball for a bit. They put in a lot of tackles there in the first half. Leinster threw everything at them and they didn't break them down, and when they don't have the ball, they got to keep that defence up and work hard for one another. They probably talked at half time. They got to keep it tight. Leinster are going to throw everything in the second half, but for me, of course they can. Everything to play for.
Have Ulster kicked too much ball away first half, Eddie?
Probably at times. I think maybe they need to play more out the backfield, because if they don't, they're giving the ball back to Leinster, going to hold on to it. But I think they need to get a bit of balance as well. They need to go up the guts with McCluskey and Marshall, but they also need to get the ball to Piatow, Trimble. They've been actually quite productive when they've got into the outside channels, but I'd like to see them hang on to the ball a wee bit more when they do get it.
Okay, Eddie Stephen, thanks a lot. Ulster leading by 10 points to 6. It's back to Ryan and Jim.
Well, he hasn't had a bad shift. The former Skerries and Ireland under-20 man, Alan O'Connor. And here's another under-20 man now, a fully fledged international with 3 caps to his name, Joey Carberry. Score of Leinster's 6 points through 2 penalties in the first half to get the second half underway. Cursory glance indicates no changes in personnel. Craig Gilroy straight into it, and well taken by the hugely promising Adam Byrne, who I would think was probably going to be one of those in contention for a trip to the USA and Japan. And again, Ulster into the middle of the park, and Ruan Pienaar to Paddy Jackson, and that's a very good clearance by Paddy Jackson.
A good clinical start from Ulster, and they'll need to bring a little bit more calmness in their decision making to match the intensity with which they played in that first half. It was very evident defensively, but just maybe wasn't the accuracy they would have required in attack. If they can address that, they should have the ability to go on and win this game, but Leinster will be looking to hit that groove again.
Well, they've won the line out. Carberry. Ulster up quickly through Paddy Jackson and Sean Reedy, who's been excellent once again tonight. Here comes Carberry. This is nicely done. McFadden couldn't quite get the pass away. Nathewa, and he's just shanked that straight into touch. So that's a good opening by this Ulster side. Just that first line out on the far side of the field, the newest of the new stands. The assistant referee or touch judge in Old Money, John Lacey's flag indicated that Ulster have got a fairly strongish breeze behind them. They probably try to utilise that. Ulster closing Leinster down, and Nathewa forced into a rare error. Herring throws. Picked off by who else but almost 7 feet of Devon Toner. Look, McGrath shaving up to kick down the near side. That's hanging up in a stiffish breeze and knocked forward by Craig Gilroy.
That's forward first, Ed.
And the referee just checks with his assistant Eddie Hogan O'Connell, who does confirm that it was knocked forward by a white hand, probably that of Craig Gilroy. So it's going to be the first scrum to Leinster. Leinster will be keen round to get straight back and score quickly.
Yeah, the sun now starting to play a part in this. You'd expect Craig Gilroy. Didn't look as though he got a good sight of that. It's going to be straight into the Ulster eyes, and you can be sure Leinster will play towards that on those high box kicks on this side of the pitch.
First scrum of the second half. Andrew Warwick's done a pretty good job up against the formidable Tadhg Furlong. Carberry, Noel Reid.
Release White. Stay there.
Robbie Henshaw, remember. Rhys Ruddock. Great work by Sean Reedy, who's been terrific at the breakdown. Ooh, there's a bit of a gap there. Oh, they've got away. It's Jack Conan. Interception by Piatow. Nothing wrong with that. That's a clever kick. Little banana kick off the inside of the foot by Piatow. Not enough Ulster chasers, mind you. Carberry gets himself all the way back. And he hasn't found a bad touch. I don't know why the crowd are giving him the bird. But that was a decent bit of clearing into a stiffish breeze. Fortunate there for Ulster. Very fortunate.
Yeah, that's a wonderful little piece of anticipation from Charles Piatow. That little break on the inside and then getting through the tackle. And see, we're trying to position himself, and out of nowhere comes Piatow and just plucks that ball out of the air. That set up some field position for Ulster and an opportunity for further possession through this line-out.
Ulster had the last one picked off. Not much better. That's pretty hopeless by Ulster, and Van der Fleer's broken away from just about everybody. Ulster's line-out has been rather calamitous this evening. Carberry again, Ulster up quickly. Reid tries to step inside Marshall, who nails him. McGrath to the far side. Carberry. Set up for Piatow.
Take him back.
Inside to Gilroy. Pienaar knows he can't kick directly into touch and uses all that experience and picks an empty spot, which is filled by Carberry, who's running. Needed to be caught there because there are a couple of gaps appearing there. Ulster have to be quick.
Hold.
Gilroy sensibly decides to let that one go, but Leinster ominously have moved into Ulster what they call the red zone.
Yeah, very noticeable that they're kicking away a lot more ball. Looking at that rush defence and probably thinking, let's put a few in behind there, try and turn Ulster around, play a bit more of a territory-based game. And with the line-out struggling a little bit for Ulster early on in that first half, they'll probably try and pressurise that with Triggs and Toner. They've got the perfect ammunition to get men up in the air and make it difficult.
Two enormous men, 6'7" and 6'11". That was well taken by Alan O'Connor, who's a lot smaller than either, but he was well lifted and he got the big toe to it. Pienaar. Just a bit of a stumble there.
No.
In comes Wilson, clears out. Devin Toner offside.
And just kick it out the side like that.
Kicked the ball through. Naughty boy.
They've got to be bound to the ruck, can't come from the side and kick as the interpretation from the referee. And not much of an angle for Paddy Jackson to work with, but certainly I hope to get this one into Leinster territory, and I'll start those discussions about line-out. Could be that shortened line-out, not the best quality possession you get off a line-out because the midfield gets filled up with back rowers, but it's all about possession.
Well, there was the infringement. The ball was sitting there, and Toner, who was actually in an offside position, came through and kicked it. And Paddy Jackson, from a very, very tight angle and with a treacherous breeze, has put in a pretty delectable touch find.
And hold there now.
30 years of age, Devin Toner, fast approaching 50 caps for Ireland. Oh dear. Well, if they're calling long throws to the back, Rob Herring has got to allow for the fact that he's trying to get over the head of some huge Leinsterman there, and he hasn't quite managed that this evening. It's been probably the worst aspect of Ulster's game this evening.
Hold there, hold.
Leinster under a wee bit of pressure, but they've secured the ball. Luke McGrath to Furlong. Van der Fleer assisting. Leinster piling over off their feet. Pride not happy. That's a tester for Craig Gilroy. Well taken though by Adam Byrne, and he's got it away. This could be dangerous. Noel Reid was missed in the middle of the park. McCluskey comes back and gets a second bite at the Leinster ball carrier.
Wide move.
Somebody down injured. I think it might be Gilroy.
Clean a tackle area, please.
Penalty against Ulster. First penalty conceded in the second half. We're 7 minutes into it, and I think that is Craig Gilroy, Ryan.
Yeah, medical staff on very quickly. Gareth Robinson, the Ulster physio, giving some attention. May have landed awkwardly from that kick contest.
And Michael Webb is in there straight away, the Ulster senior medical officer. So Jacob Stockdale, whom we thought was coming on in the first half for Stuart McCluskey, may well be coming on. He took an awful heavy tumble there, and he landed very awkwardly, and the ground is very firm at this stage of the season. Anxious Ulster faces. hoping that Craig Gilroy, he's got a bang in the jaw perhaps, and remember his wonderful incursion into the Irish side against Italy when he scored in a matter of a handful of minutes
head injury now.
a hat-trick and then was promptly discarded.
Yeah, certainly has the ability to score points and score them quickly, and he'll be needed for Ulster out there this afternoon, as we see that may have just in contesting that may have got a shoulder into the jaw, and looks like it may be some sort of head injury assessment. They'll need to take him off.
Well, the great news is that he's sitting up and he says he's okay. He says he's okay. Michael Webb says no, you're not.
15.
He says I'm okay. They'll take him off. They'll do the HIA, head injury assessment, and with a bit of luck he might return. In the meantime, not a bad man to have coming on, Jacob Stockdale, who has scored no fewer than 9 tries in the Pro 12 this season, just one off the lead of Stephen Evans of the Scarlets, if I'm not mistaken.
And we'll see whether it's Charles Piatow that slots into that 15 position, or Jacob Stockdale assumes that role. Opportunity now for Leinster to get back into Ulster territory, line out to restart.
Well, Craig Gilroy is just trotting down the tunnel, so he mightn't be too bad. Carberry finds his touch, and remember, it's very difficult to work out from our lofty position here, but there is a fairly stiffish breeze blowing. It's eased a little bit as the sun gets brighter and brighter, it seems. We're coming up to 6:30 in the evening. The floodlights haven't been touched. James Tracy on the Ulster 10-metre line. Taken at the front by Triggs. Ulster read it well, bearing in mind how badly they got ambushed in the RDS when Leinster took a quick throw at the line-out. Furlong brought to ground by Roger Wilson, an all-embracing tackling. Carberry back inside.
Tackle White, out.
Ulster put in some very good tackles this evening. This is Rhys Ruddock.
Step.
That's the halfway line. Carberry. Nathewa. And again he opts to kick. And that's not a bad option, because although it's an Ulster ball, Leinster's line-out has been impressive.
Yeah, haven't been able to really break down that very tight Ulster defence, so opting to kick for territory, apply pressure at the set piece, and they'll feel with those revised tactics that maybe they can get something more on the scoreboard.
8.5 minutes gone, 10-6 as it was at the interval. Try by Roger Wilson, conversion and penalty by Paddy Jackson to 2 penalties by Carberry. Alan O'Connor has been the main source of line-out ball for Ulster all evening, apart from one to Robbie Dyack and Kieran Treadwell. Nothing's been thrown to him so far this evening. Pienaar with the win behind him. He's hoiked that a wee bit, but he's found his touch. And Stockdale trying to prevent Adam Byrne taking a quick throw. Rowan Pienaar shakes his head. He wanted a little bit more on that.
8. In you come, Blue. That's good now.
7-man line out for this Leinster side. There's Kieran Treadwell, now just 21 years of age, former Ireland under-18 player, and that's the first Ulster steal. And Reedy, Jackson. That's right down the middle. That might bounce kindly, but it needs to hold up short, and it doesn't. Here's Nathewa, and he's going to be forced to kick this. And McCluskey really closed them down, couldn't affect the charge down. But it wasn't the distance that the Leinster skipper, now 34 years of age, would have wished for. Capped just once at international level for Fiji, way back in the 2003 World Cup. Came on as a sub, and that meant he couldn't qualify for New Zealand, where he was born.
Yeah, excellent kick down the middle. Difficult to get out of that position. Nathewa running closer to the touchline to try and get some more distance from the kick.
Well, line out stolen again. Had Ulster won all the line-outs, they may well be in the lead in this game, such as the possession that they've lost. James Tracy takes a good inside line. Likewise, Van der Fleer, who's knocked it forward. McCluskey, a little kick into space. Here comes Stockdale. Oh, nicely done by Adam Byrne, did that very easily. And he's strong enough to hold off Rob Herring.
Wait.
Advantage with Leinster. And that's an Ulster line-out. I think if Ulster had been offered scrums instead of line-outs all the way through, they'd have been much happier.
Yeah, they seem to have done well when they've shortened the line-out, and expect that to be a tactic they continue to employ given the returns they're getting from it.
I'm not going to tell you again, we have to speed this up, please.
Well, Andrew Brace is telling the Ulster forward pack that they have to speed this thing up. There's no point in having a little brains trust while play is supposed to be going on. Here's Herring again. Treadwell, back to Herring. That works.
Wait.
Leinster player not really rolling. Pienaar. Ricky Lutton. On at the end of the first half for Rodney Ayew. Pienaar again. This is McCluskey. Slipped the ball away quite nicely. Ulster on the front foot. Needed quickly. Referee's having a good look, and Ulster trying to make a little bit of ground through the forwards.
No one, stay one.
McGrath told to get out of it. Jackson. Luke Marshall. Pienaar again. Jackson back in position. Piatau. Oh, he's done well. Wonderful by Piatau. Needed somebody on his elbow, and they've lost possession, but that was a little glimpse of just why George Piatau, along with Ruan Pienaar, were the only two Ulstermen in the Pro 12 Green team.
It's just his ability to beat that first up man. He gets the ball, the little hitch kick, the pace to go on the outside, and then that strength in the tackle. Gets knocked out as he goes to ground, but an opportunity again for Ulster. They want their line out to function, and important now that they set up camp in this Leinster 22 and don't leave without some scoring. It could be crucial to get some points early for them.
Yeah, it wasn't knocked on by White.
This is 23rd start for Ulster this season, so he hasn't missed too many games. Okay. Sean Reedy, who started exactly the same number as him, has got a bang as well, and he may be leaving the field. So that may be two players off to have head injury assessments. And Ulster perhaps fortunate that the open side flank replacement on the bench is the redoubtable Chris Henry. And on comes Chris Henry, who's captained Ulster many, many times. Won his first Irish cap in 2010 against Australia and played in every single game in the most recent World Cup. So off goes Sean Reedy and Chris Henry on the park already.
Come on. Outside 15, line-out over.
Better work by Ulster at the line-out, and they've moved in field. Andrew Trimble just drifting back to the right-hand side in case Ruan Pienaar thinks about a little dart on that narrow side. Leinster have it covered. Ulster moving forward. This is good work by the Ulster pack. Ball is there with Rob Herring. Pienaar flat to Marshall. Very nearly got through. Well, he did get through the first tackle of Carberry. Pienaar, Jackson, Piatau. The blue line up very quickly. Herring, who's captain Ulster 26 times. Chris Henry straight into it.
Ball there. Don't kill it.
Ulster told not to kill it. This is Ricky Lutton. Pienaar again. Jackson. McCluskey. That's nicely done wide. Ulster's captain Andrew Trimble. Strong run into that patch of sunlight. Here goes Andrew Warwick. Well, he was bounced, but he held onto the ball wonderfully well. Here goes Kieran Treadwell looking for his first Ulster try. Pienaar back inside to Chris Henry. All the pressure coming from the men in white at the moment. Pienaar gets it away. Shirley. Stockdale. Pienaar again. Great defending by Leinster. Still Pienaar. And again it's Herring. The man himself. Pienaar. Very close to that line. Presented there. Look, Marshall. Can he squeeze over? All they have to do is touch the base of the post. In goes Herring. Leinster's determination there for all to see. Wilson looking for a second. Pienaar runs wide. Little chip. Trimble gathers and scores. Ulster's captain takes the perfect kick from one of Ulster's legends and gets the second home try of what's been a glorious spring evening.
Well, you were hoping the two departing Ulstermen would play a significant role in their final match, and that's turning out to be the case. Roger Wilson with that try, and then Ruan Pienaar, we've seen it a number of times at Kingspan Stadium. The awareness to see where the space is, and then the ability to execute. Some clever lead-up work and some desperate defence from Leinster, which was disallowing Ulster, and they took the more unorthodox route and a perfectly placed kick into the shade even, so that Andrew Trimble didn't have to look into the sun, and he dots down.
Well, such is the strength of the sunlight, I wasn't altogether sure who kicked it and who caught it, but we think we got it right. And let's see if Paddy Jackson, who got a conversion and a penalty in the first half, can get this one. It's tough. There's a bit of a breeze behind him. Well, it's a pretty tight angle from that far touchline. Needs to come in. Wonderful kick by Jackson. Perfect kick following a perfect cross kick. So Ulster now with just over 15 minutes of the second half gone, now leading by 17 points to 6, and Leinster making a few changes.
It'll be very interesting. Leinster with nothing really tangible to play for, down 11 points away from home. Real test of their character to see how they respond.
Dan Levy has come on wearing number 20, and the very familiar figure of Cian Healy wearing number 17 has come on. Look, McGrath. No. Leinster wanting to respond immediately. Here comes Cian Healy. Gets no change out of Roger Wilson. The score of Ulster's first try. McGrath again moved wide by Noel Reid. Rhys Ruddock in the far wing. Ricard Struys, the third replacement, has come on, whom I didn't notice. Levy into Rob Herring. Carberry. Ringrose, one of those angle runs at which he's most adept. Ulster managed just to nail him at the last gasp. McGrath with the switch. Noel Reid. Jack Conan with the fluorescent orange boots. Good clearing out by Ulster. Referee says that was fine through the middle. Cian Healy. Ryan 4 years ago. It might well have been the shortlist again this time round. Here's Carberry. Lots to come from this young fellow. Off now. Slow ball for Leinster. Nathewa. No wriggle room given to him. Healy again doesn't wriggle much, but thunders a lot. Levy. Rhys Ruddock's got away from the first tackle. That was poor work there in the middle of the park by Ulster's defence. Great chance now for Leinster. Tag Furlong. Oh, what a sidestep. Very balletic by the enormous 20-stone prop. Leinster responding as only they can. They're within stretching distance of that Ulster try line. And they're going route one, trying to go through the middle of the Ulster defence. Both sets of fans and great voice now. Ulster digging in. The referee has a good look. And I think he's going to have a go upstairs perhaps to the TMO, who's Leo Colgan. Leinster think they've got it.
Leo, can you hear me?
Yes, Andy, I've got you.
Initial view is held up. So try yes or no, please.
Okay,
well, that's
now,
interesting.
Andy.
Andrew Brace says that his initial view is that it's been held up now. The Leinster players think the try has been scored because they've moved all the way back, and Joey Carberry's preparing to take the conversion, and he's asking for adjudication on the part of the TMO Leo Colgan. But again, Andrew Brace said initial view is that it was held up well.
We're going to have to see something on these replays that is evidence that that try has been scored. If they can't see that, then they will have to go to held up. It'll still be a 5-metre scrum, and Ulster not off the hook yet. A great response from Leinster, but again, some dogged defence by Ulster.
Well, Ricky Luckin doing a good job there. And look at Rob Herring getting in underneath him.
No, I can't tell that.
Cian Healy thinks he may well have got it.
Just still checking, Andy.
And I can hear the TMO Leo Colgan saying, I'm just checking, Andy, in reference to Andrew Brace. Well, Andrew Brace put the hand up initially, so which is the fact that he said, I think it was held up, is very interesting.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's inconclusive.
Yeah.
For me, it's held up.
Yeah, it shows me.
Inconclusive, according to Leo Colgan, the TMO. So it was held up, so it will be a 5-metre scrum. So Ulster off the hook, Ryan. But for how long?
Yeah, well, their defence has been outstanding to keep Leinster trialless at 58 minutes is an achievement in itself. But you know, Leinster have found a way of winning these tight games, and points now would be crucial. If Ulster could hang on here, an 11-point buffer and build on that. But if Leinster score, it's game on again.
Peter Nelson is coming on for Ulster. Has Charles Piatow gone off? Yes, Charles Piatow has gone off the field, and Sean Reedy has come back on the field. And Chris Henry wearing number 19 leaves. So Sean Reedy seems to be fine. I'm not quite sure about Craig Gilroy, who also went off for an HIA. So Peter Nelson is on, hasn't played for quite some time.
Are we good, Peak? Peak? Good standards.
Big scrum this one.
Wait for me.
Leinster's put in. Ricard Strice and Cian Healy into the front row.
Stay.
Leinster's pack weight advantage will not have diminished. Just have to be careful not to take it down. Referee's got the hand out for the penalty against Ulster. Play on, he's playing advantage. Carberry tries to find a bit of a gap, and he's absolutely manhandled by the Ulster defence. But they'll come back for the penalty. And what are the odds of that Leinster opting for another scrum, particularly with some fairly hefty gentlemen in the front row?
Yeah, well, if you've already got that one penalty in that position, given the 11-point margin, 3 would be handy, but 7 would certainly be more welcome. And if they feel they've got the upper hand, there'll be no turning that Leinster pack away from going for another scrum.
Stay nice and straight.
Well, Andy Warwick has done pretty well up against Tadhg Furlong. Ricky Lutton now finds himself up against another serious piece of work in the Irish international, Cian Healy. So here they go again. We've played almost an hour. Just over 20 minutes remaining, coming into the final quarter. Ulster trying to get a squeeze. Oh, that's not a bad Ulster scrum. They are really digging in. And down it goes again, and the referee's given another penalty.
Okay.
Well, Leinster, I'm sure, will have another go at it. They hope to try to squeeze a penalty try out of referee Andrew Brace.
Step away.
And for the second time this evening, Kemper's just started to fray a little bit.
Eight. I don't need
There's still
that from
plenty
you.
of heat in this game. Leinster will go for another scrum. They may get one more penalty, but
Time is off. 2's down.
anything more than that, and you think the referee running under the middle of the post.
Ulster, not unsurprisingly, have a man who's suddenly decided he's got a bit of an ankle tweak and he's sitting down. I think just maybe to gain a little bit of time. And Ulster need to be pulling all their tight forwards in, and whoever's in charge over there should be saying to everybody, we really need to work hard in this scrum. And here comes Andrew Trimble. Referee's having a word with him.
We don't get involved. Okay? Have a word, please.
Well, he's told Andrew Trimble and Ethan Asewa to tell their respective teams not to be getting involved. Well, Ricky Lutton doing his best against Cian Healy, who got a bit of a shunt on, and Ulster just went down in the front row and were penalised. And if it happens again, Ryan, for the 3rd time, I think the referee will go underneath the post.
Okay.
Yeah, 3rd or 4th time usually, unless there's some different infringement involved there. But huge test now for Ulster. They'll feel if they can hold them out here, that momentum swings back to them. They're the team that are in the ascendancy on the scoreboard and just need to last that little bit longer.
Mind you, we did have 20 minutes of scrums at the very end of the France-Wales game in Paris in the most recent Six Nations. God forbid that's going to happen here. A penny for Joe Schmidt's thoughts. Well, the home crowd trying to lift their white-shirted forward pack to greater heights after that little bit of pressure was exerted. Here comes Luke McGrath again.
Just straight down.
That's collapsed, but not illegally, so the referee will ask them to put it in again.
Both down this side.
This really doesn't around. You've never been in one of those in your life, but you know pretty well, having talked to people who have, how strength-sapping it is.
You know, you just have to stand next to some of the boys that are involved down there to realise the forces that will be going into that scrum. And Desperate times for Ulster. They're under the pump, 5 metres out. The crowd's trying to get behind them to lift them, to get that extra little bit of strength. All they need is stability for that scrum not to go down and force Leinster into testing a defence that's been resolute this far today.
Set, stay.
Well, it means such a lot to this oft-times beleaguered Ulster fan base that they could hang on and win this game. There's Leinster have got the squeeze on again. Ulster digging in, and Leinster moving toward the try line. The referee's having a good think. They pick up and drive, and he's gone underneath the post. He's given the penalty try. He's lost patience with Ulster at the scrum, and Andrew Brace has gone between the Ulster post, and the penalty try has been given, and that's another 7 points to Leinster. And with the conversion to come, that will cut the gap to just 4 points.
Yeah, it's really the one aspect where Leinster have got dominance in this game. It's been the set piece. They've managed to disrupt Ulster's line out, and that ascendancy is now coming to bear in the scrum as that tight five walk back to the halfway line. Job well done for them, and that's where they'll look to apply this pressure. Ulster defence has really been the platform that they've dominated, but when you get 5 metres out and that blue machine rolls forward, it was inevitable that the referee was going to run under the post.
Well, this low spring stroke summer sun is shining directly in our eyes, so it's pretty difficult, and I'm thinking, yes, it is Ulster about to restart. Paddy Jackson, and off the field goes Roger Wilson. Farewell, Roger Graham Wilson, following a proud family tradition. His grandfather Harry, his great uncle Des, and his uncles Alistair and Harry Jr. all played for Ireland. So a fifth member of that, if you like, McKibben family represented Ireland. Here comes Adam Byrne, who will certainly represent Ireland in the not-too-distant future, I'm pretty sure. Cian Healy, little hop and a skip from a very balletic but muscular prop forward. Leinster now with the bit between their teeth. Jacob Stockdale got nowhere near that. Devin Toner.
Set the way, play on.
McGrath, who's played well. Reece Ruddock. Treadwell also looked to be a bit outflanked here. That's a good transfer to Fergus McFadden, and Ulster caught napping. Unfortunately for Ulster, Luke McGrath has spilled the ball forward, and the referee is waiting for advantage to be played, which is just as well, because the scrum would have ensued. Now it's Jackson. Luke Marshall. What is he going to do? He's going to throw it rather wide, but that went forward, so they'll have to come back for the initial offence, which was the Leinster knock forward, and Leinster will go for Ulster at this scrum, I'm sure.
Yeah, they managed to get some space in that wider channel, and then unfortunately for Leinster, Luke McGrath just unable to hold on to that inside ball. But first time that Ulster's defence has really been breached that openly, and certainly a trend they'll not want to continue. But the big question mark is, did that huge defensive workload they went through in the first half take it out of their legs, and can they find that extra bit for the remaining 16.5 minutes to get this result?
Up very gingerly is the Leinster skipper Ethan Esewa, and Roger Wilson has gone off. So all the very best, Rog, for whatever you're going to do. Yourself and the new family, and another one to come. The second baby on the way.
Order off, please, guys. Yeah, the TMO's on it. We're all good.
New Zealander Jemison Gibson Park has come on to replace Irish international Luke McGrath.
It's something Leinster often do with that substitution. Gibson Park just speeds that game up again, gives them another lease of life, and haven't really been able to generate that fast-paced ball to trouble the Ulster defence, but certainly they'll be hoping to do that in the remainder of this half.
Sean Reedy moving into number 8, where he's played a number of times in the last season or two for Ulster. And Roger Wilson off the field. Better Ulster scrum. Teenar Jackson again. Ulster looking to run this one. Peter Nelson from inside his 22.
Take him back,
and that was passed initially from the scrum inside the 22, and that was not a very clever piece of reading of the game by Peter Nelson, who looked somewhat bemused, but he should know the laws of the game. The scrum was outside the 22, it was passed inside the 22, and even though it went through a number of pairs of hands, you still cannot kick directly into touch. So Ulster have handed position and possession back to Leinster, Ryan.
Yeah, Leinster bring on these substitutes, and it noticeably lifts the pace of the game, and they're looking to do that right now with this opportunity.
Number 19, Ross Maloney, is on as well. Here's Carberry. Good, speedy closing down by Luke Marshall. Richard Strauss, another Irish international. Leinster, they seem to be just have them falling out of the trees down there. Kieran Treadwell's taking a bit of a knock. Leinster pushing hard. Just 15 minutes to go, remember, but there's only 4 points between them. Carberry wide to Byrne. Stockdale stood off him a bit. Oh, stolen by Chris Henry. Many times they've done that in both the white jerseys and green jerseys. Pinar. Now Nelson knows he can't do it again. He hasn't done it again. That's nicely done. Chance now. Here goes Luke Marshall. Away to Trimble. Trimble's managed to gather it and does really well. He's offloaded again a little bit too quickly. The crowd were booing for. I think there might have been an offside. And Ulster have got the penalty. Just sometimes Ulster's composure is lacking.
They're just some decisions that they make and the execution that backs them up, but they'll be happy to have got out of their own half. An opportunity now. Ability to kick long, get a nice line-out call in early, probably the shortened one. It's given them the best returns, and you know, there's no need for them to panic. They're the ones that are 4 points up with 14 points remaining.
Sean Reedy is taking a bit of a thump. I don't think it's no, it's fact it's Andrew Warwick, the loose head prop, who's had a very good game and has really stood up to some formidable scrummaging on the part of the very experienced Leinster front row. Paddy Jackson to give Ulster a purchase in Leinster territory. Straight down the line, nicely done. And Ulster making another couple of replacements. Nick Timoney coming on to play against the province, where he played all his formative rugby, former captain of Blackrock College. And Kyle McCall in his first game since December is coming on to play at loose head prop to replace Andrew Warwick, who's had a very good game. There is Kyle McCall with a familiar scrum cap on.
And for Ulster, it's all about possession now. When you're ahead in the scoreboard and in opposition territory, you can afford to take your time.
Ulster win that. Good take by McCluskey. Good strength by McCluskey and a good offload by McCluskey. And here's the excellent Reedy, who for my money would be man of the match. Not that I get to pick it. McCall at scrum half. Jackson to Luke Marshall. Just one little line break would do this, you know. Pinar again. Taken on by Dyak. Cleverly back to Pinar. That's nice. This is Nick Timoney. Timoney's first act is to hang on to the ball in the tackle and to give possession back.
Holding.
Another change in Leinster. 18 at the tight head prop. Andrew Porter has come on as well. They are coming on thick and fast, and to get the old abacus out.
Yeah, Dan Levy, I think one of those substitutes on the pitch who secured that turnover. He's been doing it all season, getting in that good position initially, and once you get on that ball, two Ulster players arriving without a huge amount of impetus, unable to dislodge him.
Well, the long shadows being cast by this low sun into the Ulster eyes, more or less. Richard Strauss. Gibson Park. Ringrose. Oh, he's got away. What a turn of pace. Well, he should have given that, you know. He held on to it that little bit longer. There were two men outside him. Still there for Leinster. Nathewa gets it away. Has the chance gone? McFadden doesn't think so, and he'll never give up. That was a typical Gary Ringrose break, but not a finish. And Stockdale, had he got that, he was home and hosed, but he's knocked it forward.
Yeah, running into the sun there, trying to pick off the intercept. At least it stopped the attacking movement, allows Ulster to reset, because Leinster really were getting on a break. There's that pace on the outside. Looked perfectly set up for that little pass, but just looking as Stockdale drifted off the man, probably convinced him that he would have got the support player, and just looking up into the sun, unable to grab that. That could have been the last bit that Ulster needed.
Well, here is going to be the accolade of the season. Farewell and many, many, many thanks to the utterly magnificent Ruan Pienaar. What a difference he has made, what an impression he has made, what a standard he has set, and what a legacy he will leave. Well, it may be a bit facile to say, Ryan, but at the very least this Ulster side can do is to hang on to this win simply for Ruan Pienaar.
Yeah, and I think the team have bought into this occasion. They know it's at stake for those two lads. Their last game in a white shirt, and they're trying to do it justice, but the focus needs to be now on how they stop this Leinster team, invigorated by the substitutes off the bench. A growing dominance at the set piece coming to bear on this game, and they'll need to muscle up in this scrum to ensure that Leinster don't get further reward from that.
17 is also the replacement loose head prop, Kyle McCall, who sustained a rather nasty leg injury way back before Christmas in one of the European games. Ricky Lutton on the far side. Only John Andrew, the replacement hooker, has yet to come on. Leinster just had the edge for most of the second half. Scarlets 30-10 up against the Ospreys, so the Scarlets will finish in third place, and Munster romping home against Connacht. And at the moment they could actually finish in first place. Better Ulster scrum. Gibson Park gets it away back inside to Ringrose, given no room there, clung on to by Paul Marshall as his replacement scrum half. Cian Healy, adroit use of the forearm. Gibson Park, Richard Strauss. Ulster just having to dig in now, but they're conceding a little metre at every single contact. Carberry, away by Levy. Here goes Ringrose. Managed to get it away, but it's been knocked forward. Play on, says the referee. Here goes Stockdale. Not going to get away from Adam Byrne, but he needs to make sure the ball is coming back. Ulster get the penalty. It's good work by Stockdale. He knew he wasn't going to get away, but wasn't going to let the ball get away from him.
No, did well, and then Leinster player over the ball. Referee deciding that he had his hands on the ground before he then addressed it back onto the ball, and maybe should have got into Ringrose's hands a little bit earlier. Had a bit of a mismatch on the outside. Took the offload decision, probably not the correct one in hindsight. And Stockdale doing well just to maintain possession.
9 minutes remaining, and it would be very remiss of me not to mention two men who've given, well, not quite a lifetime, but many years of service and distinguished service as players and coaches to Ulster. Alan Clark, who was the Ulster hooker when they won the European Cup, God be with the days, away back in 30th of January 1999, off to pastures new, off to be forwards coach with the Ospreys, and Neil Doak, the head coach for the last couple of years, is moving on as well, and we wish them both all the very best. And Ulster lose yet another line out. Rob Herring has had, well, a pretty catastrophic day out of touch. Leinster, 8 minutes remaining, get the penalty, which will give them a chance to go into Ulster territory. Can Ulster hold on, Ryle? That's the question.
Yeah, well, it'll be through the agency of their defence, which has been outstanding all day. Some tired legs out there now, and Leinster just trying to get some sort of field position and ball in hand. Ulster having to muscle up on this occasion to try and take some optimism into the pre-season and finally bookend this season with a win. It won't get them into the top four, but some pride will be restored against a very good Leinster team.
Step, open up.
Rory O'Loughlin is coming on. Noel Reid is leaving. O'Loughlin may well move into the centre where he's equally happy. This is Richard Strauss in Ulster's territory. Quicker ball, Jemison Gibson Park. Carberry knocked forward. Play on, says the referee. But Marshall just couldn't quite get the pass away quickly enough. Paul Marshall, Jackson, McCluskey.
Least blue.
Good take by Chris Henry on for his second stint. Marshall, Jackson, Luke Marshall. That's not a bad little kick. Nothing much Leinster can do with that, but Ulster where they want to be, and that's inside Leinster's 10-metre line with 7 minutes remaining.
Yeah, and it really is about managing the game now from Ulster. Clever decision, that one. No real risk in kicking that ball down there, and it was touched in flight, as was being appealed by Ulster, and an opportunity now if they can secure some possession, go through some phases. They're in the right part of the pitch. A penalty would see them stretch that margin out to 7 points, and it's all about ball-in-hand rugby and time in possession for Ulster.
Well, they've opted for the shortened line-out. Sean Reedy and Chris Henry have departed. Herring, who's had an awful day, and there's another one. Through goes Kyle McCall. Referee says he's happy enough with that, and then he says no, he's not, and Kyle McCall, in his attempt to secure the ball, nudged it forward. But the clock is ticking away. There's the former Ulster skipper and a great personal friend of a rather tearful ruin pain. There's the great Johan Muller, who went through exactly this when he departed Ulster for farming back in South Africa some 3 years ago, and he promised Ruan Pienaar he would be here to see his great friend's final appearance at the Kingspan Stadium, and as good as his word, he is here. Just over 5 minutes remaining. Leinster need to get themselves into Ulster territory, and all Ulster need is to either dig in or maybe squeeze something out of referee Andrew Brace. Solid looking Leinster scrum. Leinster might look for the penalty, and up come the front rows, and they do get the penalty. Ulster scrum is starting to creak as well.
Standing up under pressure.
One wonders why John Andrew has not been brought on, Ryan.
White standing up under pressure.
Yeah, looking in a bit of trouble at scrum time, but it looked like both front rows really stood up. Leinster weren't actually motoring that far forward. Ulster may think a bit unlucky, but when that tide turns against you, those 50-50 decisions tend to go towards the dominant scrum, and Ulster now really 5 minutes left to try and see this result through as Leinster walk to the line out. Huge defensive effort required now in tiring legs.
Well, Leinster have got the position they want. They're right on Ulster's 10-metre line. They've got the possession, and the ball is in the hands of Rickard Struys.
Respect the gap.
Conan, Gibson Park, Levy well tackled. Gibson Park again, back inside. Good thumping hit there by Robbie Dyack. Gibson Park, Levy, Carberry into touch.
Still live.
There'll be no rush from Ulster to get this ball in. They'll take their time, and that substitution you were calling is happening now, Jim. Opportunity for a pressure line out coming off the sideline with 4 minutes to go, and your first input into the game is take a crucial line out throw to try and secure possession for Ulster and wind the clock down.
29th cap for John Andrew, as Rob Herring, who's skippered the side on no fewer than 26 occasions, leaves the field. All but 5 for John Andrew have been off the bench. Former product of Ballymena Academy, younger brother Ricky Andrew, who had a spell with Ulster as a fullback, come wing three-quarter. Now, the referee won't be happy with Ulster having another little confab. He'll tell them to get on with it, and Kyle McCall passes on the relevant information to John Andrew, who has to get the throw right. Has he fared any better? Well, just about. The referee said that was knocked backward. I thought Collar maybe nudged it forward. Paul Marshall, clever kick. Stockdale advances, well taken by Adam Byrne. Ulster up quickly. Now Saywell was just blocking Stockdale cleverly there. That's gone wide, and that's gone into touch. And we have 3 minutes remaining. Leinster making the sort of fundamental errors that you don't expect the best side in the league to make.
Now being forced into that by that Ulster defence. Struggled to find a way to unlock it, and those outside men shooting up, forcing that overhead pass, which limited accuracy over that distance. And for Ulster now, with just under 3 minutes left on the clock, you feel this is all about securing possession and not letting it get back into blue hands. Ricky Lutton, I think, cramping up after putting in a huge shift, and another player who's done himself proud in what looks like his last game for Ulster.
Well, Roger Graham-Wilson, his 221st and final game for Ulster, scored the opening try of this game and has, not surprisingly, and no sentiment involved as he sits beside Lion Jared Penn, and Roger Wilson is man of the match. Ulster have won the line-out. And they're digging in. 2.5 minutes to go. It's all about possession now for Ulster. Taken on by Stuart McCluskey. Paul Marshall looked to the narrow side. Chris Henry, master of the sleight of hand. Marshall again. Alan O'Connor. Ulster come thundering in. Referees having a good look at a breakdown, and Ulster, well, didn't need to give away that penalty. All they had to do was sit in Leinster territory and dig in. And now, Ryan, they've given the ball back to Leinster, who will throw everything up to and including the kitchen sink now.
They could have done without one more opportunity. They are a team that's capable of scoring from anywhere, although Ulster have done very well to contain them during this match. But opportunity now in the dying minutes of this game to steal the lead from Ulster. Haven't looked like winning this game throughout, but could well end up doing so.
We have just over a minute remaining. Leinster on Ulster's 10-metre line. Dan Levy at the back of the Leinster line-out. Richard Strauss with the throw. That didn't look altogether straight. Here's Carberry, taken on in the middle of the park, and good defending by Ulster, as has been the case just about all evening. Rhys Ruddock trying to get across the 10-metre line. Gibson Park to Carberry. Oh, Ulster very nearly showed him the gap. Taken on by Leinster, still motoring forward. A penalty's no good to them. Remember, they need to try to win this game. Ball coming back on the Leinster side, and Ulster win the penalty with 40 seconds remaining. And the clock will tick and tick and tick, and now 30 seconds remaining. And can Ulster eke out something from this? And the referee says to Ethan Lefewa, you'll have to go back. You gave away the penalty.
Let's go.
Well, have Leinster, as the poster says, been ruined? Will this be the perfect farewell to Roger Wilson and to Ruan Pienaar? Ulster will have to kick the ball, and Jackson does kick the ball. And he's found a very good touch, and there is time for Leinster, because we're not into the red zone clockwise. We are not, so the last breakdown will herald the end of this game. And Ulster find themselves with the line-out, which has been pretty awful for just about all of this evening inside Leinster's territory. And all they have to do, Ryan, is catch it and hold it and kick it into touch, and they have caught it. And O'Connor has done well, and they're hanging on to it, and it's Marshall puts it away, and Ulster have finished the season in the manner that all their supporters and coaching staff and indeed the players themselves would have wished had been the case throughout this season. Small consolation, always great to beat their oldest and dearest and nearest rivals, but on an occasion like this, as Ulster Rugby says, farewell to the genius that is Ruan Pienaar and the great man himself, Roger Wilson. It hasn't been a bad day's work at the Kingspan Stadium, and certainly gives a little glimpse of what Ulster can deliver when they put their minds to it. And if they start off next season as they finish this one, albeit in the last 80 minutes, well, who knows what they may achieve. Chris Henry, one of the many replacements, has another bit to go, but it's farewell to Roger Wilson, and it's farewell to Ruan Pienaar, and indeed to Ricky Lutton, and indeed, as we mentioned, coaches Alan Clark and Neil Doken. Good luck to all of them, and thanks for many, many memories. It is a night for this man. He will be back. He will come and live here and enjoy a long time living in Northern Ireland, which has become his home. Final score, what a night of the Kingspan. Ulster 17 and Leinster 13.
Well, Stephen Ferris and Eddie O'Sullivan are with us for about 15 minutes or so as we reflect on an excellent interprovincial and a super Ulster win. And Stephen, Ulster showing what might have been this season.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it was the last couple of minutes of that match where they kept making mistakes at the line-out. They kept giving the ball back to Leinster, but they kept defending for one another. And they got to carry that into pre-season, and they got to carry that into the next season. And you know, when you have a foundation where you work hard for one another, then success will come. And they've got a great squad, as Eddie, you know, referred to at the top of the show. They've got a lot of good players. They've some good players coming in next year. Yes, they have a few guys leaving, but at the same time, this squad of players is capable of a lot. Yes, we're going to miss that man, Ruan Pienaar, the amount that he has given to Ulster Rugby over the years. But next year is another season, Stephen.
OK, Roger Wilson, on his final Ulster appearance, is the man of the match, and it certainly wasn't a sentimental decision. It was all on ability tonight, and he's talking to Gavin.
Roger, fairy tale ending. What an atmosphere down here.
Yeah, no, some atmosphere. That's all we asked for, was from a team point of view, was to try and give play for ourselves first and foremost, but try and give the fans something to shout about towards the end of the season. Hasn't been the greatest of seasons, but it's great to sign off on a performance like that.
And have we tried to add to the collection to finish off?
Yeah, first one I think in about 5 years' time, so yeah, better late than never.
Different emotions for you to Ruan. You're leaving on your own terms. Can you sum up how you're feeling?
It's been a long time I've been playing now, 15 years, so I just find myself very fortunate to have been stick around the game that long. Been really enjoyable by and large, and you know, to go out like this with a victory at home against one of your rivals is, you know, you couldn't have asked for more than that. So yeah, very, very happy with the way things have ended.
What a man. We'll let you enjoy the celebrations, but before that, Colin Bell will present your Man of the Match award on behalf of Guinness.
Roger Wilson, deserved man of the match. Eddie, I suppose at times like this, you wish he had the desire to play on for another year.
Yeah, he had a super game. I think he set his stall up very early in the game. He was on everything, you know. He showed huge physicality, urgency, and he got Ulster off to a great start. And he played right through very hard, you know. I mean, he deserved his walk-off in the end of the crowd rising to him, and he deserved the Man of the Match award. He's been a great servant to Ulster Rugby, and that performance again today epitomised what he's brought out through his career.
I mean, it's put a smile on the Ulster players' faces tonight, Stephen. It's certainly put a smile on the fans' faces. Can they continue this into next season? How do you make that type of performance stick?
I think they can, but a lot of things are going to be addressed over the pre-season. I think they got to work hard on their mentality. You know, when things do get tough. I think Andrew Trimble referred to it in the media during the week that, you know, maybe they do try too hard at times. Maybe they do, when they're under the pump, you know, cave in at times, and it's those areas that they need to address, and that comes from the coaching staff. They need to give the lads belief, and they need to make sure that they're well prepared every time they take the pitch. They've got the squad, as we've already talked about it, they've got the squad of players to be able to compete. They just need to put it all together.
Eddie, Ruan Pienaar off to pastures new, as we know, very emotional tonight on his final game. It's an IRFU decision. You've been in the very heart of that, obviously, as the Ireland coach through the years. Do you think it's fair that Ruan Pienaar is being forced to leave?
It's a very harsh call, because Rowan has been in the club for 7 years, and he's very much embedded himself in the rugby community here, and he's contributed hugely outside the game. You know, the system they use seems straightforward. You know, they've only allowed one overseas position one overseas player in every position. If you look across the province at the moment, you've got Murray in Munster, Marmion in Connacht, and McGrath in Leinster. So it would seem that position is open, but it seems there's another layer to that where it's got to be a case of him staying more than a certain amount of time, and that's very, very harsh for a guy who's contributed so much.
His children are both here, his family are here, his dad's flown in for South Africa, his friend Johan Muller's here as well. I mean, it's tough for him to go, and he's turned down much bigger contracts in the past, Stephen, to go to France. He's shown a lot of loyalty to Ulster Rugby. So you can understand why he's frustrated that he has to go, perhaps.
It's not just Ulster Rugby, it's Irish Rugby. The boys around him, the likes of Paddy Jackson, Stuarty Olden, you know, even big McCluskey in the centre, they learn so much from Ruan Pienaar. He's going to be sorely, sorely missed. But at the same time, you can understand from an IRFU point of view that he is blocking an Irish qualified scrum half from coming through in the Ulster ranks. But that's the way it goes. That's professional rugby. He understands that, and he's going to move on to new pastures. And as I said, we wish him all the very best.
Eddie, what can this type of performance tonight do for Ulster Rugby, as we see Ruan getting a hug from his wife there? What can this kind of performance tonight do for Ulster as they try and